Hey guys, I'm making this video about the Punjab protests going on, about the farmers. I found a very nice report called Getting Punjab Agriculture Back on High Growth Path Sources, Drivers, and Policy Lessons. The authors are Ashok, Gulati, Ranjana, and Siraj, Hussain, July 2017. And I'm going to be, I've taken some snippets and I'm going to be referencing those. It's from Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations, a nonprofit think tank established in 81, ICRIER.org. So feel free to, you know, go to the report directly. So one thing I want to start, and one thing reading this report that sort of I learned, and I feel like that's an important question that should be asked in this entire discourse, is that why is Punjab losing its groundwater? And you can see I got this map from NASA's website, and I think everybody sort of has probably heard or you know seen this before in one or the other capacity, that there is an alarming groundwater loss going on in northern India, especially in Punjab, Haryana, and Rajasthan. One thing that caught my attention was this. If you read this, the loss is particularly alarming because it occurred when there was no unusual trends in rainfall. In fact, the rainfall was slightly above normal for the period. So that's very disturbing that it's not due to rain. And you look at relative to the rest of India, you know, you don't see that kind of severe problem in the rest of the India. So it's connected to irrigation, extensive exploitation of that resource, and it then connects back to the farming and the agriculture and the current agitation and the protests going on. So let's see if we can connect all this together. So is free electricity responsible for depletion of groundwater? So what's happening is, there has been tremendous growth in cereal cultivation in Punjab. If you see the chart on the right, you see the blue line. Rice has taken off over the years. It's grown quite a bit, and the same goes with the wheat. And all that ties into the free electricity and extensive irrigation, which in turn leads to the depletion of groundwater. So uh, um, I'll sort of, this is kind of a spoiler. I'm putting there one of their recommendations of the report right there, which says, diversification from common rice is going to be the key. I'll read the snippet. The most significant problem in Punjab has been free power, leading to massive depletion of water table as cropping patterns lean towards paddy. As a result, water table is going down at an alarming rate, um, and currently 80% of the blocks are overexploited. Encouraging diversification away from common rice in the Kharif season by moving on to maize for poultry feed, and promoting fruits and vegetables to at least 10% of total cultivated area, including their protected cultivation through micro irrigation, etc., with an eye on export markets of the Gulf countries, will boost the agriculture in the state. So that's sort of the crux. I wanted to give you a sneak peek into this, and there will be sort of more information as we go into that. So now, with that in mind, that there is lower groundwater, another thing that report shows is that the agricultural growth rate in Punjab has gone down. The green bars is the growth rates relative to the blue bars, which are India as a whole, and you can see the growth rate has been going down for Punjab, whereas for India it's either stable or going up. And that sort of raises another question, like, okay, not only you have record growth in terms of crop yields and rice and paddy cultivation, but the overall agricultural growth, I believe this is income growth, that's down. um, Same on the chart on the right side is showing you, state-wise from 2005 to 2014, Punjab is really lagging there. Whereas, MP, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Rajasthan are doing really well, even Karnataka. One thing that I noticed is Kerala and Jammu and Kashmir, they're sort of, at the bottom as well. So is MSP responsible for high cancer rates in Punjab? So this is another thing that connects, So, high, heavy exploitation of, the groundwater resource for irrigation, and then combine that with, um, heavy uses of fertilizers, right, and the subsidy that goes along with it, and that in turn results in high cancer rates. So again, I have a snippet from NBC News on the right side. I'll read it out. While the causes of cancer are complicated and still unknown, Tucker and his team found that contaminated water from rapid industrialization and excessive use of chemical fertilizers for high yielding crops are contributing to the steep rates in the state. Um, uh, again, all this is connected, and as we go, we'll see how this come together. So MSP, APMC, rice, fertilizer, cancer, groundwater loss are all connected. So look at the chart on the left. Fertilizer consumption, kilogram per hectare for Punjab, the blue line, versus overall India, the red line. It's almost double the consumption. And the snippet from the report on the right side, even though the predominant rice wheat system provided good returns to farmers in recent years, the situation has completely changed. India emerged as the largest exporter of rice in 3 years in a row. India had unprecedented stocks of grain with public agencies that crossed 80 million metric ton. Punjab has been the largest contributor of grains to the central pool. Mounting buffer stocks of grain often meant that MSP increases would be minimal, and that affects the profitability of large mass of Punjabi peasants. It has created a number of serious problems. The intensive cultivation of rice has resulted in severe depletion of groundwater resources. It has also increased the cost of production as shallow tube wells are replaced with deep tube wells fitted with submersible pumps. The requirement of electricity for pumping water is also increased with the decline in water level. So effectively, what's happening is it's a case of diminishing returns. You've just exploited the resources to the limit where there will not be any more returns or growth in yields. Your water tables are going down, your soil is probably going to get deficient with heavy doses of chemical fertilizers. You're producing tons of cereals that no longer are needed in that sense, in terms of we've got ample buffer. So the price viability or the economic viability is going to suffer. And as the water table is going down, you need more and more electricity. So it's reaching to a point where we need to take notice and maybe change the strategy that has worked before, and especially in the 60s and 70s, where there was sort of a few food security concern, probably is no longer applicable anymore. Another two snippets, I'll read them out. Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh produce large quantity of rice, although Punjab is not geographically suitable for paddy cultivation. So that's another thing. You see how not only there is sort of this so effectively the whole system has come to a point where it's almost sustained artificially. So if you look at the climate and geography, it's not only it's not suitable to cultivate rice. It was made possible by the provision of extensive irrigation facilities and procurement of paddy at MSP. Because of an assured market, rice production increased over the years. However, rice is not the staple food in Punjab, and rice procured in Punjab is transported to states in the east, northeast, and south India. This imposes an additional cost of storage and transportation. As rice is the most remunerative kharif crop owing to the assured MSP, farmers prefer to grow rice over the other crops. Thus, food procurement policy in Punjab is also responsible for the change in cropping pattern, which is having an impact on the environment. The policy, which worked as a catalyst of growth in Punjab's agriculture, has become detrimental to the sustainability of its agriculture. So, over time, it's looks like it's a very old system and policy and strategy that was needed in a different time for different reasons, and has not been reformed or revisited over the years. Another snippet on the right. But after the implementation of Agricultural Produce Market Regulation Act during the Green Revolution, no significant reforms have been undertaken, and agricultural markets are characterized by inefficiency, the presence of middlemen, price manipulation, and so on. Agricultural marketing is a state subject and requires initiative from the state government to undertake serious reforms. As part of agricultural marketing reform, the Prime Minister launched the Electronic Trading Platform for National Agricultural Market (ENAM) in 2016. However, the Punjab government has not opted to join the ENAM platform, even though its neighbor has. ENAM will bring transparency to operations in mandis and the details of artis and farmers. So this again hints at vested the section of people who have that vested interest. So as we go along, we'll see what's happening here. I think so that there is sort of that the middleman or other taxes and cess and levies that are really high in case of Punjab, and that creates that sort of vested interest that is probably partially fueling this agitation. So next slide, we can look at the procurement ratios here. If you look at rice for Punjab, 87%, almost 88% of production was procured in 2005 versus 73% in 2013. Compare that to India level, it's only 28% in 2005 and 31% in 2013. So massive differences here in terms of how much is procured in Punjab versus the rest of India. Same for wheat, 62% procured in Punjab in 2005, 67 procured in 2013 for Punjab. Compare that to for rest of India, 22% procured in 2005 and 32% procured in 2013. So continuing sort of that commentary, the central pool stock of cereals crossed 80 million metric ton, way above the buffer stock norm. Some of the state-specific policies in Punjab have also been distorting the market mechanism. The Punjab government charges heavy commission levies on the purchase of wheat and rice, amounting to 14.5%, which is much higher than the 2% in Gujarat and West Bengal. Thus, makes the food processing industry extremely reluctant to buy their raw material from Punjab. So this is sort of it's all coming together. So you're producing something which first looking at your geography and climate of Punjab is not suitable. Not only that, then you have these heavy taxes that makes it economically unviable. You can't even sell your produce at the prices you want. So the whole system is both economically and ecologically unviable, or has become unviable, and it's going to become unsustainable. So these were a few of the recommendations from that report. So diversification from common rice, we already looked at that at the start of the report. I'll read it out again. The most significant problem of Punjab has been free power, leading to massive depletion of water table as cropping patterns lean towards paddy. As a result, water table is going down at an alarming rate. Encouraging diversification away from rice and fruits and vegetables is going to help. And cultivation through micro irrigation with an eye on export markets to the Gulf countries. So we already read that before. Agriculture is going to stay as the backbone of farmers for another 10-15 years in Punjab. It can build on this core competence by linking agriculture to food processing sector, adding value, creating jobs in rural areas, and increasing farmers' income. The state can emerge as a hub for units using wheat as a raw material, like flour mills, noodles and pasta manufacturing, biscuits and bakery. But all these years, wheat-based processing units always felt unenthusiastic to buy wheat from Punjab. due to very high taxes and statutory levies, which touched 14.5%. So that's where the problem is, right? So what's happening is, um, you have these heavy taxes, which makes your produce economically unviable, and then all you're left with is, going to the system of MSP and the government procurement. So it's unsustainable, right? At some point in time, it's gonna, it's like subsidizing the entire agriculture of Punjab at the cost of other sectors and rest of the India. That there is no need to do that effectively. You can actually help change that system and strategy so that not only it's economically viable, but at the same time, it reduces the stress on the environment and the water resource, and increases the income opportunities not only in farming sector, but on the other emerging sectors. And that was another thing in the report that I don't have it here, but if you go and directly read the report, you'll see that the overall contribution of the agriculture is going down in terms of the GDP of the state. So I mean, it's going to happen, right? Those are sort of the natural forces that are going to happen. Even outside India, you see that the agriculture overall as a sector is going to contribute less and less in the overall GDP. So, final word, with abolition of high taxes, Punjab can again become attractive to private trade to purchase grains instead of buying them from other states. There's also an opportunity now to attract food processing industry, which can benefit farmers and create employment, and promote sustainable agriculture, especially with respect to water use efficiency. The most critical problem in Punjab agriculture is its depleting water table, primarily due to paddy cultivation during Kharif season. Fertilizer consumption is also skewed toward highly subsidized urea. We recommend promoting sustainable agriculture by shifting to DBT with respect to power and fertilizer subsidies so that inefficiencies in their use can be minimized, as also propagating micro irrigation techniques and encouraging the use of solar power for powering irrigation pumps and generating solar power as the third crop. Overall, the strategy for Punjab agriculture needs to shift from food security concerns of the country to sustainable agriculture practices, coupled with income augmentation of Punjab farmers. We're confident with all the shift in strategy, the state can turn around its agricultural growth back to more than 5% per annum, increase farmers' income, and use its precious water resource in a more sustainable manner. So everything makes sense here. Like, so one thing is we don't see all this. Even with I heard all the on the left side, or the so-called left liberal side. We have that Deshbhakt, Akash Banerjee, and others. You don't see any of this information come about, like the real issues. Like, it's there is almost like very shallow analysis, like, oh, this Ambani, he's corrupt, is gonna come in and buy things at lower prices. But again, once you just scratch the surface, I'm not even an expert, I'm not even a researcher. Once you scratch the surface, you find a very good report, and there are many more reports like this. And it's like, the corporates don't even want to buy that produce because the prices are so high. So the problem is not the corporates, but those taxes, the high taxes and levies that have made the whole the agricultural economy and produce of Punjab economically unviable. Nobody will buy at those prices. Now, not only you're doing that, but at the same time, you're literally killing yourself with those heavy doses of fertilizer and cancer, and you're just the water tables are going to deplete at certain point in time. Uh, you know, you will not be able to tap water for irrigation, and the whole system will come crashing down. So I mean, they get millions of views, like people like Deshbhakt and whatever his name is, Dhuvrati, but they're very shallow, right? You can just go and do your own research, and it's pretty simple. Anyways, I'll encourage people to again apply their own mind and do their own original research. Google, uh, you know, is is an amazing technology. All right, I'll end it here. Thank you guys.